Good afternoon, or evening, morning, whatever time it is for you. It's afternoon for me. We don't need to have that in common, that's okay. My name is Miko, this is Backseat Fighters, and today we're going to be looking at the UFC's heavyweight division. Now, of course, I'm not actually a professional matchmaker, and I'm sure it's a very, very difficult job and they work very, very hard at it. But what I am is a fan who wants to know who's next in line for the belt and who's going to be next in line after that, and so on and so forth,
etc.
So a lot of the top 10 fighters in this division do already have matchups, so let's just start at number 10 and work our way up to the champ. Number 10, Walt the Big Ticket Harris. Not only is Harris on a 5-fight win streak, which is not easy to do in the heavyweight division, his last 2 victories were both round 1 knockouts, coming to a combined total time of 1 minute and 2 seconds. He does have a fight lined up against the number 6 ranked Alistair Overeem, and a win against the Reem would probably propel Harris right towards the top of that division. He'd probably only be maybe even one more win away from getting that title shot. And that is definitely a possibility for Harris because the Reem is kind of a glass cannon these days and Walt Harris hits like a goddamn truck. Number 9 in the division is Shamil, I am definitely pronouncing it incorrectly, Abdurakhimov. After winning 3 fights in a row, he then lost to Curtis Blaydes. I think he should face an up-and-comer next, try and win back some of that momentum, and even if he loses, you're then giving a huge opportunity to an unranked opponent over a ranked name. Off the top of my head, someone like Maurice Green, another name I can't say properly, Mo Green. Anyway, number 8 is Blagoy Ivanov. His next fight is against Derrick the Black Beast Lewis at the stacked UFC 244 card at Madison Square Garden. It's hard to tell how much Derrick Lewis's heart is still in the game, and it would be a huge name for Blagoy Ivanov to add to his resume should he get the victory. It shan't be easy though. Yes, I said shan't. Because even when Lewis is gassed in the final seconds of a fight, he really does just need one punch. Number 7, Alexander Volkov. Speaking of Derrick Lewis only needing one punch, this is something that Alexander Volkov found out in his last fight when he faced Derrick the Black Beast Lewis, and he was winning handily until with 11 seconds left, Lewis landed flush and Volkov hit the canvas. Volkov is still a few fights away from contention at this point, so we're going to have to see how well he's recovered from that last loss as he goes up against one of the best to ever do it in JDS. Oh my days! I have just found out that Junior Dos Santos is no longer fighting Alexander Volkov. He has had to pull out of the fight, and stepping in to replace him is Greg Hardy. Now, if you're unfamiliar with who Greg Scumbag Hardy is, then Google him. I don't want to talk about the creep. But in short, MMA fans have been clamouring for this man to have a step up in competition, and Alexander Volkov is definitely that. I don't think I've ever instantly become a big fan of someone the way I just did for Alexander Volkov. Go get him, Ali. Anyway, the number 6 ranked fighter is Alistair Overeem. Overeem, the Reem, is a legend in MMA. But he is coming off a first round knockout loss to Curtis Blaydes, and most people's recent memory of him, the one that sticks out the most, is that brutal Mortal Kombat style uppercut he received courtesy of Francis Ngannou. And with good reason, that is one of the most brutal knockouts I have ever seen, but he has beaten Verdum, Mark Hunt and Sergey Pavlovich since then, before getting knocked out again by Curtis Blaydes. Now, as I mentioned, he is lined up to fight the number 10 ranked Walt Harris, and it's going to be an interesting fight. Reem absolutely has the ability to beat Walt Harris, but as I said before, he's a glass cannon at this stage. Can he fight technically and intelligently enough to avoid the big ticket's power? On that note, Walt Harris is going through some awful stuff right now, so yeah, I'm sending you nothing but love, big guy. In regards to Overeem, honestly, win, lose, draw, or even if the fight doesn't happen, I would really like to see the Reem retire. I mean, what is it, 63, 60? Over 60 professional MMA fights. I mean, that's enough. Number 5, Derrick the Black Beast Lewis. Mr. My Balls Was Hot is a fan favourite, and I love him. I love him. He has crazy knockout power, he's massively entertaining. The only questions about him are his health and his enthusiasm. Like, he's talked about his passion kind of waning for the sport, and he has had back problems for years now. When I started filming today, I was going to say that if Lewis loses to Ivanov, I would like him to take just one more fight and then retire, and that one fight being for him to go and pummel Greg Hardy. But it looks like Volkov is getting that honour first. Although, if Hardy does somehow beat Volkov and Derrick Lewis beats Ivanov, that matchup could still happen, and I do still want to see Derrick Lewis punch Greg Hardy so very, very much, please. Number 4, JDS, Junior Dos Santos. Junior is kind of a perennial contender. Like, if he did fight Volkov and win, he would probably be in a top contenders match after that to determine the next in line. Like Overeem, he's a legend, been around for a long time, and he's been counted out so many times before bouncing back. Unlike Overeem, he still seems to be able to take somewhat of a punch, unless he's getting punched by Francis Ngannou. But I mean, come on. Number 3, Curtis Blaydes. Probably the most underrated fighter in the division, Curtis Blaydes has beaten almost everyone that's been put in front of him. In fact, he only has 2 losses. Both of them were knockouts, and both of them came courtesy of one man, Francis Ngannou. I feel like I'm kind of building him up like Shere Khan or something. Like the Predator. Francis, that was so obvious. Why didn't I see? Oh, never mind. Anyway, back to Blaydes. He wants a title shot next, but having lost twice to the man ranked directly above him, he's going to have a hard time trying to convince the matchmakers to do that. He's in a tough spot because he doesn't have a fight lined up, and he really needs someone that's going to help him make that case for a title shot. But who is that? He's already beaten most of the top contenders except for Ngannou, and they're probably not going to make that fight for a third time. Would he even want that fight for a third time? The smartest thing I think Blaydes could do at this point is wait to see who the winner of Volkov Hardy is and challenge them. Whoever wins that fight is going to have a lot of heat, a lot of attention, and that would help Blaydes make a statement that he should be next in line for the belt. Otherwise, he's just sitting on the sidelines waiting to see who's going to fight for the title next, and then maybe he can fight the loser? I don't know, we'll see what happens. Number 2, Francis the Predator Ngannou. Now, Ngannou's name has already come up a few times in this video, and there are some very good reasons for that. He is responsible for some of the most impressive heavyweight knockouts in recent history. His power is just... he only needs to, clip someone and they die. He retired the legend Cain Velasquez after knocking him out in the first round. You know who else he's knocked out fairly recently? Andrei Arlovski, Alistair Overeem, Junior Dos Santos and Curtis Blaydes, all in the first round. Now, he has fought for the title already, and the champion Stipe Miocic really did expose some holes in his game. He then did kind of lose to Derrick Lewis, but we don't really talk about that fight. 3 first round knockouts since then, though, has this man right back undeniably at the top of the division. He wants a title shot next, and there is only one man standing in his way. The number 1 contender in UFC's heavyweight division, Daniel Cormier. I mean, what can you say about DC? He has done it all, except for beat John Jones. And no one holds that against him because the man's a legend. Not only is he one of only 4 champs in UFC history, he is still the only one of those 2 weight champions to defend their belt in both weight classes. He has only lost to one man at light heavyweight, John Jones, and to one man at heavyweight, Stipe. After winning the heavyweight title from Stipe, DC then lost the rematch, but both he and the UFC seem really keen to book the trilogy fight. The only thing stopping that from happening is probably just timing, because Stipe has always been a fighting champion and will always take on whoever they put in front of him. But the question is, who should Stipe fight next, DC or Ngannou? I think most people would go for DC, but I'm going to say Ngannou. So here's the thing. DC has talked about retirement for a long time, and I'd like to see him do that. Do I think he could beat Stipe in a third match? Yeah, absolutely. But that's not the point. DC's legacy is set, and with another victory over Stipe, he doesn't really add to that much. But with a second loss to Stipe, that might put just even the smallest little blemish on his otherwise glistening story. DC is unquestionably one of the greatest to ever do the sport, and he has a full career ahead of him with coaching and broadcasting. So yeah, that means I would like to see Francis Ngannou versus Stipe 2. That sounded like a knockoff cartoon movie or something. Francis Ngannou and Stipe too. In spite of their last fight, Ngannou is still a terrifying opponent for anyone to face, and you've got to imagine he would really take his cardio and his wrestling seriously if he were to get that rematch opportunity against Stipe. If Stipe wins again, he would get so much credit for that. People would start considering him the best heavyweight of all time. Some people already do, and he could really put his stamp on that debate. If Ngannou wins, we have a fresh, exciting new champion who would be huge for media coverage and bringing new eyes to the sport. So that's how I would fix the UFC's heavyweight division. You're welcome, Dana. What do you think? Please leave a comment telling me why all of my opinions are wrong and what you would do instead. Or you can leave a lovely comment. I'm just saying that's an option. I'm not trying to pressure you into doing it. I'm just, sometimes it's nice to be nice. Anyway, I've got stuff to do, and so do you probably. Thank you so much for watching. This has been Backseat Fighters. I have been Miko. I will continue to be so. I'll see you next time.